All right, hello everybody. Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams here alongside Brian Mays. Wanted to hop on here and give you some live updates with the unfolding situation in Cedar Park. Wanted to start with a few views from our Skycam network where through this evening we have unfortunately seen this pretty large smoke plume rising into the sky. So here's what it looks like, the vantage point from our Kalahari cam. Now as we're starting to lose the light, you can see the smoke a little bit harder to detect, but if you look closely you can see that orange glow. Unfortunately, that is the flames from the fire. You can see the numbers from today. Here is another view. Wow, this one really tells the story. This is from our tower cam. So the tower cam located in Westlake Hills, that is the type of fire we're dealing with, where from that distance you can not only see the smoke plume, but you can also see the flames there, unfortunately. We'll get into an update on where exactly this is located, some of the apartment complexes that are being impacted here in one moment. Want to very quickly just show you the conditions outside. We've been talking about it all week long, that combination of hot, breezy weather and our ongoing drought. We unfortunately knew we were facing this high fire danger this week. It is breezy out there this evening, and this is not going to stop as we get later into the overnight hours. Gusting to 21 right now in Austin. Round Rock a little bit lower, only gusting to 8. Leander is gusting to 11. Cedar Park not showing any wind gust right now, but Laga Vista nearby is gusting to 18. And I still have in the forecast tonight wind gust up to about 25 miles per hour. Relative humidities, they have been down through this afternoon. It's only 28% right now in Austin. Cedar Park showing 31%. The good news, and this is what fire crews will be dealing with tonight, is as we go into the overnight hours, the temperature drops, the relative humidity increases, but again, it's going to be competing against those breezy conditions, and we know the temperatures we've been dealing with coming up on 9 o'clock, and the temperature is still 96 in Cedar Park. Red flag warning is in effect through 11 p.m. this evening, and it has already been extended into Wednesday. Unfortunately, I think our fire danger does not just continue, it actually gets a little bit higher in the coming days as that breeze picks up even more. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it is at least high to very high fire danger, but we're going to have some pockets in the red there of extreme fire danger. So that's what we're looking at as far as the weather. I want to bring in Brian Mays right now. And Brian, I'm going to pop up your graphics here. Your mic is on. So walk folks through the traffic situation there and where the fire is impacting some apartment complexes.
Thanks, Hunter. Yeah, on the map you can see Palmer Lane running north and south, completely red from Brushy Creek Road all the way up through Whitestone Boulevard. Of course, a lot of that deal because of the emergency crews that have closed the roadways there. Traffic, people being told to avoid this area. Again, this is the area in Cedar Park, Whitestone and Palmer Lane. If you're familiar with this area, there's an H-E-B there, some other stores along Whitestone Boulevard. Across the street from that of the H-E-B is the Walmart there, if you're familiar with this area in Cedar Park. Of course, Palmer Lane runs north and south, and as I zoom in, you can kind of see a little bit more from the area we're talking about. The intersection right there at Whitestone and Palmer Lane is where they are actively fighting this fire. Our reporter Tony Plahetsky reporting that an apartment complex has been part of this now. It was started as a brush fire, spread to some buildings. There are at least 2 buildings in this nearby apartment complex right there at the corner of Whitestone and Palmer Lane. Have seen evacuations tonight. This started late this afternoon. The evacuation's ongoing there as people have been displaced from that complex. Cedar Park police tweeting out about 2 hours ago that their first responders were working this fire, and then again following that up that traffic remains impacted in this area. Right there at Palmer and Whitestone is the area we're talking about. So significant delays. No doubt you want to avoid the area there in the eastern part of Cedar Park, right on the west edge of Round Rock. This is where we're talking about this area being impacted. We don't have any timeline yet, but you can see from the tower cam the fire still glowing tonight. So not a good sign as we head into the overnight hours. Hunter, and you talked about the dry weather we've had, and adding to that these windy conditions, no doubt impacting the fight of this fire. Started as a grass fire. It has moved on to structures. We know of at least 2 buildings in that apartment complex that have been impacted. We don't know the severity of that yet. We're working to find that out. But again, evacuations have taken place. And Hunter, we're going to keep monitoring this, as you will, with the weather there, to continue updating people as we learn more from this area.
Yep, Brian, thank you very much for that update on the exact locations being impacted. As we've been saying, unfortunately, the fire weather conditions, as you look again at this live view from our Kalahari cam, the fire weather conditions are not going to be improving this week. They're actually going to be getting a little bit worse as the wind speeds are going to be on the increase. We already have a red flag warning in effect. We know about our drought conditions, and that's the next map that I wanted to pull up for you guys, just to show you that although last week's update did not show any additional worsening over the prior update, we do, especially into parts of Williamson County in the I-35 corridor where we are dealing with this fire, have those worsening drought conditions. So here's a look at that drought monitor, and as you can see around Cedar Park, Williamson County, Round Rock area, that red is extreme drought that has just in the past 2 to 3 weeks expanded back into the I-35 corridor. You can see it if you walk outside. Grass lawns, pine straw, everything is just so dry and very combustible. As Brian was saying, we do not yet know what the source for this fire was, but we know given these conditions, given how dry the fuel is, given the breeze, given the temperatures, if any fire does get going in these type of conditions, it can spread very quickly. And again, we just want to show all the respect in the world to the fire crews who are out there dealing with this in what has been another day of triple-digit heat. Even as we head into this evening, the temperature right now is 96 degrees. Currently in Cedar Park, and the relative humidities are still quite low, 31% relative humidity right now in Cedar Park. Do want to back out the view though, and what you'll notice is, especially as you go to the southeast, that is where relative humidities are starting to pick up a little bit. In LaGrange, the relative humidity is 60%. And as we go into tonight, temperature is going to start to drop. That southeast breeze is going to bring in a little bit more Gulf moisture, and that should increase the humidity a little bit. Hopefully that's at least a small help for the fire crews there. Here again is our 3-day fire weather outlook for tomorrow. It's going to be very high fire danger in the peach color. For northern Burnett, northern Llano County, that's extreme fire danger. And as we go into Thursday and Friday, more pockets of extreme fire danger are going to be there. So we'll run you back through some of these camera views. We are starting to lose the light. That's actually making it harder to see the smoke plume, but actually a little bit easier to see the flames. Really remarkable. This is from our tower cam, which is about 1,000 feet up in Westlake Hills, and we are pointed to the north. Up towards Cedar Park, and we've been able to see that smoke plume and now the flames themselves. Also something we wanted to pass along, the Texas A&M Forest Service. They are now responding to assist the local entities with this fire. So when those crews get on the scene, we will likely get some preliminary information about how big this fire is, the level of containment. Right now, we do not have any of that information, but we can tell you from all of our Skycam reports, we have crews that are there on the scene, and they're going to have updates for us at 10 o'clock as well. We know that this fire is still ongoing. At least one apartment building has been impacted here, and crews are still responding to it. And you can look at this additional view from our Kalahari cam, pointed out towards Cedar Park, where again, not only is the smoke plume visible, but you can also see the flames. And this is putting off so much smoke that on the visible satellite earlier today, you were able to see it. It's a south-southeast breeze, so that smoke plume is being blown up to the north. I want to bring Brian Mays in one more time, and Brian, as we've got some new folks who may just now be joining us, I've got your traffic map pulled up. Let us know exactly where this fire is taking place, at least to the best of your guidance. Then what's the traffic situation? This is obviously causing all sorts of slowdowns and road closures in that area.
Cedar Park police have closed Whitestone Boulevard. We're seeing that right. Whitestone runs, of course, west to east in this area of Cedar Park. Palmer Lane running north and south, and the fire is just at the corner of Whitestone and Palmer Lane. Palmer Lane impacted as well, as the road has been closed there at this hour as fire crews are working to fight this fire that has spread from a grass fire to the apartment complex. We know of at least 2 buildings that have been impacted at this time by the fire there in Cedar Park. This again an area just to the south of Whitestone Boulevard. Looks like to me both sides of Whitestone Boulevard now have been closed to traffic, as has Palmer Lane southbound on that side of the highway as well. People have been evacuated from the complex there. Now, we know there are 2 apartment complexes in this area. One is on the east side of Palmer. The other complex is on the west side. To our knowledge, this fire is burning on the east side of Palmer Lane. The complex there just to the south of Whitestone has been evacuated. Some evacuations have taken place in neighborhoods that surround this as well. we have a crew at the scene, actually 2 crews this evening at the scene to get the latest information we can on this fire. We know that the fire crew, the fire department there in Cedar Park, with assistance from other area fire crews, and now the Texas A&M Forest Service is involved to help how they can with this fire. It's really becoming dark now, as you can see through the tower cameras that we've been showing you all evening, but the glow of the fire is still visible there in the distance. Of course, that Kalahari cam, Hunter, is probably 7 to 10 miles away from the fire, so you know that this is a lot of smoke coming from that grass fire, and now, of course, transferred over to those apartment buildings. So
if you look closely, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
Brian, you can see the helicopters there. They have now begun dropping water on the fire there. One just flew out of the frame, but it looks like we are starting to get some aircraft in the area, and they will obviously be dropping water and other flame retardant on the fire there. Very interesting to see.
It is disturbing to see the glow of the fire as well, still at this hour. Of course, as we approach darkness in this part of the state, you can tell definitely that fire still burning quite brightly in the evening hours. The smoke has been billowing there. Again, this started late this afternoon. We got first word of it. Around 5:30, 6 o'clock, we were able to see some information growing on social media, and that's when people started sending us photos, and we started to send our teams out there. But definitely an active scene there. Palmer Lane running north and south, Whitestone Boulevard in Cedar Park running east and west. It's right there at the corner. If you're familiar with this area, there's an H-E-B there, some other businesses along there, and so that's the area that's been impacted not just by evacuations, but by traffic and road closures. So you're going to want to avoid that area tonight into the early morning hours as the first responders and firefighters. You can see, I don't know if we have the camera up now.
Yeah, it's pulled up. There's one of the helicopters coming in to drop some water on the fire there.
So they're attacking this from the air and on the ground at this time, and a very serious situation. Judge Bill Gravel in Williamson County telling our Tony Plahetsky that the fire has grown and is growing as of about 30 minutes ago. So we're going to get the very latest information from the scene. When we do, we will pass that along to you. But those pictures just really scary to see, as you've mentioned, Hunter, with the dry conditions and the wind today. It's just really a dangerous situation once these fires spark like this has tonight.
Yeah, it's always one of those scary deals when you have high fire danger, when you know the ingredients are there. We know about our drought. We know how hot it was today. We knew about the winds, and then you just sit and wait and see if anything develops. And unfortunately, not just today, but really over the past several days, we've been covering the Oak Grove fire in Hayes County as well. We had fires last week in Bastrop County. It seems like almost every day we've had at least a small fire pop up across the area, and now today we're tracking this fire right now in Cedar Park. Seeing some video come in from this area. So you saw the helicopter that's still there in the left-hand part of your screen. We also have airplanes. So we've got multiple forms of aircraft who are dropping water on this fire, trying to get the situation under control as firefighters are out there this evening dealing with ongoing breezy weather. Again, wind gusts 20 to 25 remain possible out there. We are just hoping that the relative humidity is going to increase a little bit as we head into tonight. Looks like that's another helicopter there making another pass there. Brian, you know this area pretty well, so we know that the one apartment complex is being impacted. What are some other landmarks that people might know around there?
Well, I've mentioned the H-E-B, which is the Cedar Park H-E-B on Whitestone. In addition to the other businesses in that shopping center, there's a Home Depot a little bit further to the west of there. At this time, we do not think the H-E-B, we do not think the Home Depot are being impacted. Of course, other than the ability for people to get in and out of those shopping centers because of the road closures. There are several smaller businesses on the east side of Palmer Lane, where this apartment complex is, a large area of green space there, which is where we believe this fire started. Of course, the apartment complex, the evacuations are happening throughout that complex at this hour. Many people have been displaced from their homes in that apartment complex. And of course, a lot of people are concerned about other neighborhoods and other businesses that are surrounding this area as we now approach darkness, which is going to be a very unnerving time for all the residents there. This is a very popular area, Hunter, and in this time of the day when this started, we have a lot of traffic on Whitestone, a lot of people traveling to and from work on Palmer Lane. So this is a very, very high traffic area that affects a lot of people traveling. You go north, you get to Georgetown and Liberty Hill. Of course, south, you head on into Austin on Palmer Lane. Whitestone runs all the way from I-35 on the east all the way out. You know, that turns into 1431 as you head out towards the lake. So this is a very high traveled, high traffic area. No doubt a lot of people impacted by this, not just by the evacuations, but by the travel orders to stay away from this area tonight. And that's definitely a good idea as those first responders are still battling this fire.
And just real quick, if you could take the traffic map, back it out a little bit just to show which portion of Palmer Lane looks like closed down now. It's a pretty large portion. So there you can see that's Brushy Creek, the park there. It looks like from there over towards Whitestone, Palmer looks to be shut down at this point.
Can't go northbound on that side of Palmer for sure. It's really strange to me, and I don't understand exactly why the southbound side is not shut down. I'll have to make some calls to find out why that has not been shut down. At least it's not appearing on our map right now. I've got Tony Plahetsky on the phone right now. Go ahead, Hunter, and I'll talk to him and see if there's anything new to relay.
All right, so we'll hop back over here to the weather graphics real quick. Again, this is the live view that we have right now from our Kalahari cam, where not only can you see the smoke plume, but now as night begins to fall, the sun goes down, we're able to see the flames themselves. Brian Mays is on the phone right now with Tony Plahetsky. We have Ford Sanders at the scene as well. So coming up in our full newscast tonight at 10, we're going to have a much more comprehensive update for you guys. But what we can tell you, again, as far as the weather conditions are concerned, we are worried about the breezy weather, which is out there tonight. In fact, here's a new update. The Austin airport is now gusting to 30 miles per hour. Lago Vista is gusting to 18. It does look like Round Rock and Leander are a little bit less breezy, and Cedar Park is not reporting right now. But wind gust as high as 25 to 30 will be possible through tonight, and that is not going to be helpful as the firefighters are still working to contain that fire. The relative humidity values, though, these are now increasing as we head into the nighttime hours. So what happens is the temperature starts to drop. Humidity, as far as the dew point value, starts to increase. Typically at night, we get that south-southeast breeze, bring up a little bit of Gulf moisture, so the relative humidity should be increasing. That is at least something that is working in favor of the firefighters out there tonight. A red flag warning. No secret here, this does continue. It's in effect through 11 p.m. this evening, and then it has already been extended through 11 p.m. tomorrow evening. It is very likely that even beyond Wednesday, that will likely still be extended. As with this breezy weather picking up for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, each of these afternoons could gust as high as 30 miles per hour. We're going to have at least high to very high fire danger, pockets of extreme fire danger. Brian was just on the phone with Tony. Brian, was there any information Tony was able to give you that we could pass along?
He did confirm that it is the Bexley at Silverado apartment complex that's been affected by that. That is the apartment complex that is south of Whitestone Boulevard and on the east side of Palmer, where it's just that entire green space. I don't know if we can pull up the traffic camera, but I'll show you kind of what we're talking about here in this camera shot. The green space to the south of this complex is where we believe the fire started and moved north into the apartment complex, which is just on the other side of Palmer Lane there. Let me see what I'm doing here.
I was trying to give you a pointer there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Sorry.
It's all good.
But yeah, this area has been affected clearly by.
Now you can.
Oh, there we are. This area here is what we're talking about. The southern part, right below that apartment complex in that area, is where we believe this wildfire started and spread up into this apartment complex. Tony Plahetsky again spoke with the Williamson County Judge Bill Gravel, who has said that the fire, as of about half an hour ago, was growing and had spread to that apartment complex. Again, that's the Bexley at Silverado apartment complex, a very nice complex there just on the east side of Palmer Lane. And we're going to, again, have a crew there. I'm trying to determine, they're trying to tell us exactly where the fire has spread. We don't know at this time which building has been affected or multiple buildings, as we've been told. have been affected by this fire. But the entire complex has been evacuated, as have some neighborhoods that are nearby. There are a lot of neighborhoods. This map doesn't show them, but there's some housing areas that are some other houses that are just to the east of that area, Hunter. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to try to make a few calls and find out what I can, but definitely a situation to avoid. Parmer and Whitestone in that area of Cedar Park, a very active scene at this hour.
Thank you very much for that. Again, I've got the YouTube chat pulled up now, and some folks were asking for the name of it. Again, it is Bexley at Silverado. Another report here from Derek, who lives in the area, says he lives near this apartment complex. The fire alarm never sounded. They saw smoke, saw some flames, and they got out. So Derek, happy to hear that you were able to get out. Again, with this type of situation, with these type of conditions, fires, as soon as they develop, and we do not yet know what caused this fire, but we know that with these type of conditions, as dry as everything is, as hot as the temperatures have been, and as breezy as the weather has been this afternoon and continuing into this evening, as you look live at our latest footage of this, we know that once fires start, it's just so easy for them to spread. Seeing a few more of the comments here as folks, again, that is aircraft that you're seeing in the distance there. That is a helicopter, which we've seen video of dumping water onto the flames there. We also have another aircraft that's been flying around out there. Texas A&M Forest Service has been called in to assist here. As soon as they get on the scene and get some more information, we may have some preliminary numbers as far as how many acres this fire is impacting, the level of containment. We do not have any of that information for you right now, but again, we are working to get all of the latest for you. And tonight at 10 o'clock, we're going to have many live updates. Again, Tony Plahetsky is out there on the scene right now. Ford Sanders is also out there, and we've got a number of vantage points where we can see this. Again, I am watching the YouTube chat, so if you guys live in the area, have any reports, or if you have any questions for us, please let us know. The bottom line out here tonight is that crews are just going to continue to face this, as the breezy weather will be a factor just as far as the weather conditions are concerned, and also the increasing humidity. We hope, generally speaking, as we go into the overnight hours, that is something that does help firefighters. Whenever we have the fire chiefs out there doing their media coverage, a lot of times they'll mention that. So those are the factors that we will be watching. Wanted to show you a few of the other live vantage points we have from it. So that's our Kalahari cam, which is in Round Rock. This is the view right now from our tower cam, and just to further the point, here, I'm going to punch up Max real quick so you guys can see that. You see it is shaking. This tower cam is obviously well in the air. It's over 1,200 feet tall in Westlake Hills, but that's the type of breezy weather that is out there. It is a south-southeast breeze, so as far as areas where this could be spreading, we are especially watching the northern area of that fire. Again, it is the Bexley at Silverado apartment complex that is being impacted right now. We'll have hopefully further information as far as any of the structures in that area later on this evening. Still keeping an eye on here. Yeah, Candace is saying it gets windy at night, so it's going to grow. Again, hopefully officials are out there and they're able to mitigate that. But as far as just the raw weather conditions, we do expect it to get a little bit more breezy as we go into tonight. To offset that, at least the humidity will be growing. Rick is asking, is it growing or getting under control? Again, the latest report that we had from Tony Plahetsky is that this was growing. We do not know the extent to which it is growing, and we don't want to speculate on that, but it's certainly still an ongoing situation. As you look live, the flames are certainly still burning there. We will work to get some more information on that for you. Here's a report from Daniel who says the apartment complex backs up to some very densely wooded area. The terrain is also very difficult. Yeah, that's exactly what Brian was saying, kind of highlighting on the traffic maps, what exactly is in that neighborhood. So if that wooded area with the more difficult terrain starts to get more involved, that's just going to be another issue that fire crews are going to have to face out there. Seeing a few folks in the YouTube chat speculating as to what buildings have been impacted there. We have not confirmed that, so I don't want to touch on that, but also seeing reports of how backed up the roads are, especially Parmer in that area. Matt, is it moving north or south? I don't know the specific area where the fire may or may not be expanding, but I can tell you that we have a south-southeast breeze right now. In fact, I'll pull that up for you. So that would tell you have this wind coming in out of the south-southeast, that especially on the northern flank of the fire, that's likely where fire crews are going to need to continue to try and mitigate the spread. Again, I'm not on the scene. I don't know where exactly the fire is moving, but based on the wind speeds, that northern side of the fire is going to need to be watched more closely.
Hunter, I don't know if My mic is still on.
Just turned it on. Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry about that. I just saw the video or the actual satellite imagery, and it appears, and again, you can explain this to me, it appears the smoke is blowing from the south to the north, which is what you were talking about. And that would explain, as that one commenter was saying on the chat, that the fire likely spread, as we believe, from that wooded area just south of that complex, the Bexley at Silverado apartment complex, from the south into that complex with that wind blowing, as you can see from the map, from the south to the north, which would explain a lot about what we're seeing as far as the fire and the smoke from that area, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the wind, and I've got the wind speed map pulled up for you guys. It is a breezy south-southeast wind. So just as Brian was saying, the fire could be expanding northward because of that breeze and all of the smoke that has been lofted up into the atmosphere that we were able to see on satellite that is also blowing up in the northerly direction as well. Again, that's what the weather that's happening outside would tell us. We know that these fires can be chaotic. You know, the fuel that it has access to, it's not always as straightforward as which way is the wind blowing. But as far as wind speeds and which area may be favored, it is going to be that northern flank to watch. Cody is watching in Liberty Hill right now and says out that way he is able to see and smell the smoke. Yeah, so the smoke plume is going to be blown up to the north. So around Liberty Hill, Leander, and then northern Williamson County around Florence, those are going to be the areas where the smoke is going to be most directly blown. Brian, I'll bring you back in. Candace here is in the chat asking, are there any other buildings, homes, businesses around the Bexley apartment complex that are being evacuated? I don't know that we have information on that, but you do know there are a number of other businesses and homes that are in that spot.
This is a very densely populated area, businesses, apartment complexes, homes not too far to the east from where this fire is. We have not confirmed any other evacuations other than the Bexley at Silverado apartment complex, which is also the complex we believe has been involved with this fire. At least 2 buildings there, we're being told. Our sources are telling us that 2 buildings have been affected by the fire. We don't know the severity at this point. We've heard some talk about what's happened there, but we do not know exactly the extent of the damage. And I'll show you again what we're talking about. It's this area just to the south of that complex. The complex, the Bexley at Silverado complex at the corner of Palmer Lane and East Whitestone, also 1431. Many people still refer to it as 1431, but it's that corner right there, that apartment complex that has been involved in this fire. Evacuations have taken place there tonight. We know that there have been some people moved out of the apartments. We had some people talking in the chat about having lived there and then having moved into a hotel tonight until they're given the all clear. We hope that soon. We do not have any time frame yet on when that might happen. But this complex is the one that's been affected by the fire at this time, and we do not know of any other evacuations that have taken place, either from businesses that would no doubt still be open at this hour, including the H-E-B that's right across Palmer Lane from this complex, or the Walmart across the street. There's also some smaller businesses in the strip mall there just to the north of this complex and just to the east of this complex. So we are going to continue to find out what we can. I was just reading through some of the chat as you were, Hunter, and a lot of people concerned about evacuations at this time, and that is what we're doing. We're trying to get the information to you as we learn it. We do not have any other evacuations to pass along at this time. Cedar Park Police, of course, working with Cedar Park Fire, the Texas A&M Forest Service, and multiple, we know, other local entities, fire departments and otherwise, fighting this fire tonight that you can see on our tower cam from way away. The flames still burning there, and the orange glow in this evening hour you can still see. So that's not a good sign as that smoke continues to billow up from the fire. Started as a grass fire, moved up through that wooded area just to the south of the Bexley at Silverado apartment complex, and we know of at least 2 apartment buildings that have been impacted by this fire. The weather, Hunter, doing no one any favors tonight as far as the firefighters working to get this under control and the spread of the fire no doubt being impacted by the windy, dry conditions that we've had for really the last several weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brian, we knew the type of conditions that we're facing this week would be suitable for fire development, and unfortunately, we have in fact seen seen a number of those fires develop over the past several days, and then most recently the ongoing Cedar Park fire, which you're live looking at right now. Most recent update from Cedar Park Police, they just tweeted out in the past several minutes they will soon be conducting a media release, including a live stream. So we have crews on the scene there. Hopefully in the next couple of minutes they'll begin that. We'll have an opportunity to learn more about the situation. A lot of folks have been asking about the size, the containment. We do not know that yet. We may get an update from that here in the next couple of minutes, and then also the opportunity to ask some additional questions. And again, all of this leading into our full newscast coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. So we will keep an eye on that. Wanted to take you back to the weather graphics just really quick. As Brian was saying, the weather has done us no favor here this week with these fire weather conditions. Last week we had a fire in Bastrop. We had the Oak Grove fire we were tracking this weekend over parts of Hayes County, and now most recently this fire in Cedar Park. Cedar Park is currently an area that is under extreme drought. Here in the past 2 to 3 weeks, we've seen this expansion of extreme drought that is the second highest level into the I-35 corridor. This does include much of Travis, especially northwestern Travis County, and then we know across the hill country, places like Fredericksburg and Blanco are dealing with top level exceptional drought. What we're most watching as far as the now time conditions out there, it's the wind speeds. The gustiest wind that I have right now over any part of the metro is at the airport. That's obviously on the southeast side of town, so that is not in Cedar Park where the fire is located. The airport right now is gusting to 30. Good news is that Round Rock, the most recent observation, is showing a calm wind. Cedar Park is still not reporting, but Leander nearby is only showing a 5-mile-per-hour wind, and Laga Vista is showing a 6-mile-per-hour wind. But that is a wind out of the southeast. So again, that would suggest that that northern flank of the fire is likely the spot to watch for additional spread here. Again, that's just speculation. We'll have some of the more concrete details here soon. But that's really what you could see here on the live images. So this is from our Kalahari cam in Round Rock. So we're kind of pointed back to the west at an angle, and you can see that smoke plume being blown up to the north. And then here is another view from our tower cam. And you can see not only the smoke plume, but unfortunately the illumination of the glow there from the fire itself. So that is essentially what we have for you tonight. I'm keeping an eye on YouTube chat and all the latest information that's coming in. I have a number of people here who are saying they are in the general vicinity of this and saying that they can see the flames, they can see the smoke. Frank is talking about Bastrop, which is also extremely dry. Yeah, absolutely. The Powder Keg fire itself, or Powder Keg Pines fire, did develop back last week. Folks talking about the Steiner Ranch fire. I know there's a number of fires that folks will remember here from over the years, and we hope that this does not evolve further to reach some of the magnitude of those fires past. But for right now, we can tell you this is still an ongoing and serious situation with at least one apartment complex that has been to some degree impacted. Tanya here is giving us another report, says the helicopters have been nonstop delivering water to the fire. Yet we've actually been able to see that even on the Skycam a little bit harder now that the sun has gone down. But we have confirmed helicopters out there. They are dropping water. Not sure where they are getting the water from. In fact, we might want to keep an eye on our Lake Travis camera as well. It is possible they could be going out to Lake Travis, picking up water and then dumping it on the fire. So we will keep you updated on that. Zach saying it is a fairly large fire from his vantage point. Yep. More reports coming in around the Whitestone area. Again, Palmer and Whitestone is exactly where we are tracking that. And keeping an eye on some of the further comments here. One of our viewers saying, been here for 15 years and I remember the Bastrop fire and the Steiner Ranch fire. Yeah, absolutely. A number of those fires here in the past several years that folks remember. We hope that this does not reach that type of magnitude, but again, it is an ongoing situation. And then another update that I did want to show you guys here. Let me pull up this graphic. Just yesterday, we got an update from the Texas A&M Forest Service as far as the statewide fire danger. Earlier this week, we were in level 3. I'm going to pull this up for you. Recently, just yesterday, we were increased to level 4. So what that means is that not only is a high volume of fires possible, but large fires are possible. We do not have any information about the size of this fire right now, but we do know that the conditions across the state are suitable for that, level 5, of course, being the highest. Looks like we are getting ready here to hop on and do a live cut-in on TV. Is that the game plan, Brian? Okay, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to leave this video up for you guys, put the tower cam view for you. We're going to hop on KVUE here momentarily, and we'll have information and likely some of that media, the press conference that is streaming now. So join us on KVUE for continuing coverage and, of course, our full newscast tonight at 10 o'clock.
Good evening. Brian Mays here in the KVUE studios, breaking into your regularly scheduled programming tonight to bring you some breaking news out of Cedar Park. A grass fire is burning tonight off Whitestone Boulevard and Palmer Lane. It started late this afternoon and in a field just south of an apartment complex and has spread to that apartment complex. This is video from our tower camera just a couple of hours ago. The fire has spread into that neighboring apartment complex. It's the Bexley at Silverado complex. Evacuations there have been ordered this evening. KVUE's Ford Sanders is live at the scene now. He joins us with the very latest from this fire in Cedar Park. Ford?
Brian, we got here just after 7 p.m. pulling up still 2 miles out. You could see that smoke absolutely throughout the air. When we got a little bit closer, active flames still happening. Like you said, evacuations. People are lined up all up and down these streets right now, still waiting to hear from officials that should be giving a briefing here any minute now. Now, in our video that you're going to see coming up tonight at 10 o'clock, you will see that fire, like you said, did spread to that apartment complex, absolutely scorching the roofs of some of those buildings back there. People tell me they pulled up. We had one couple who tells us they pulled up not long after 6:30 and they tried to get into their apartment, but at that point, evacuations were already happening. People ordered to leave and these flames were still going. Now, I can tell you, you still see some red hue, not right now, but still over in that area. There are some red hue coming from those flames and firefighters are still working to contain that. We're just off Colonial Boulevard, not far from where it's happening. We're going to keep updates throughout the night. We're going to come up at 10 also with the latest. Brian.
It's KVUE's Fort Sanders live for us in Cedar Park. Let me explain closer to where this area is. The map on the right shows Palmer Lane in red running from south to north. The apartment complex is just to the right of Palmer Lane, just south of Whitestone Boulevard. If you're familiar with this area in Cedar Park, this is not far from the H-E-B on Whitestone Boulevard. Of course, Whitestone runs east and west, Palmer Lane, north and south. That wooded area on the right-hand side of that bottom picture is the wooded area where this fire began and then spread to that apartment complex just to the north. The press conference has now begun. Let's listen in to the very latest details.
For moments just like this.
Yeah, Paige, there's one other group, let me say this, there's one other group that we didn't recognize. We have city employees that work in the water infrastructure system that are currently manning those operations to make sure we have adequate fire flow here. It's a complete team effort on the part of the city of Cedar Park to provide, and they're providing thousands of gallons of water to put out this fire.
All hands on deck.
I know there's some counties that have a wildfire task force. Do you guys have anything like that officially in
Yeah, the
place?
wildfire
So
task-
we do. We're actually part in Cedar Park because our city is in both counties, Travis County, Williams County. We are part of the task force in both Travis and Williamson County, but we're part of a regional auto aid group. It's every fire department in Travis County, almost every department, and multiple departments in Williamson County. Our cats talk to each other. We can grab each other's units if it's closer. That is what the mayor and the county judge were talking about. We signed that into action February of 22. It's been in action for a little over a year. That's what got the units here quickly today and helped us save what we could save.
And is the fire still burning, or you said it was contained?
It is not fully contained. It is still burning, but we have most of the advanced progress under control at this point.
Do we have a percentage?
I do not. It's approximately 15 acres worth of grass fires, and then the 3 complexes that I talked about. The condo complex, the apartment complex, and the business complex.
So we need to step away. The last thing we would ask you to do is to communicate with your listeners and viewers. If there's anything you can do tonight, stay away from this location to let our fire chief, let our police chief, and all of our law enforcement and our EMS personnel do their jobs. Thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all. Stay safe out there. Thank you so much.
You were just listening into the presser there from some of the officials there. Again, they are saying that the forward progression of this fire for now has been largely mitigated. But what we want to do is actually tell you some of the weather information as far as what could be impacting fire crews through the rest of this evening. Here's a live look from our Kalahari cam in Round Rock. We have it pointed back towards the west where you can see not just the smoke plume, but also the flames themselves, which continue to burn there near the Cedar Park area. So a few factors that we'll be watching through the rest of tonight. We'll be watching the wind speeds very carefully. We do expect breezy weather to continue tonight, and it's a south-southeast breeze. The airport right now is gusting to 30, but closer to Cedar Park and Round Rock and Leander, winds are calm to even 5 to 6 miles per hour. So we hope that those wind speeds stay on the lower side, closer to the fire's location, but 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts will be possible, not just this evening, but into tonight. A factor that is going to be hopefully working in our favor here is the relative humidity. As we go into the overnight hours, that will be increasing. Earlier this afternoon, relative humidity values were in the 20s when this fire started. As we go into the overnight, the temperature drops, humidity starts to increase a little bit, so the relative humidity is increasing. It's now 35% in Cedar Park, which is still dry, but we do expect the humidity to continue increasing. You can see that's already taking place for areas southeast of Austin. Temperature-wise out there, we know how hot it's been. This is certainly not helping things. It is 96 right now in Austin. It is still 94 for Cedar Park. Red flag warning is in effect through the rest of this evening, and it has been extended now into 11 p.m. Wednesday. This means critical fire danger. This is just one of those situations where we knew the conditions would be suitable for fires, and unfortunately, not just today, but over the past several days, a number of those fires have developed. Now, as we go to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the fire danger, unfortunately, does not just continue. It actually gets a little bit worse as the wind speeds pick up more. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday each could gust up to 30, maybe even 35 miles per hour at times. That makes it much more difficult to contain these fires once they develop. And especially on Friday, you see pockets of red there. That is extreme fire danger, which is at the top of the scale. So coming up at KVUE News at 10 o'clock, we're going to have much more. We have Ford Sanders, who is on location there in Cedar Park. We'll have more updates on road closures, possible evacuations, and of course the weather forecast as well. We'll see you in about 30 minutes for KVUE News tonight at 10.
Sounds like they've got it.